Alright, Hazbin Hotel is a beautiful mess. Finally, Hazbin Hotel video. Oh, jeez.
Disclaimer. This video is not an attack on Vivian Madrano or any of the talented writers, artists, animators, and voice actors.
Yeah, but they'll
who
take
helped
it as
bring
so.
Hazbin Hotel
They don't
to
like
life.
criticism.
The reason
They're
I'm
little
opening
babies.
this disclaimer is because the last time I made a loving and tame critique of Vivzy Pop's work as a fan of hers, I was met with a shocking amount of hostility that some of you watching may be aware about due to the collective outrage many people had over the behavior of these fans, and the fact that whenever discussions surrounding the fan base happens, my name tends to pop up because of the severity of the harassment.
It's
While
really
this
not
clearly
that
doesn't
bad.
reflect the majority of the fan base, and I'm incredibly grateful for the overwhelming amount of support I received, I want to make it clear to any Hazbin Hotel fans that if you disagree with anything I have to say in this video, then that is totally fine. I'm not here to flippin' orbital strike the funny hell show. This video comes from someone who loved Vivzy Pop's work for many years and waited just
I don't
as
know
long
if
as you
it's
did for Hazbin Hotel
necessarily
to finally flourish
funny.
on TV. Now, with that out of the way, Hazbin Hotel. Not that one. Hazbin Hotel started as an independently funded pilot uploaded to YouTube. The 10% if you are 13, you should know this already. It was eventually picked up by A24, got delayed by 6 months, then finally released on Amazon Prime a few weeks ago of the first 4 episodes, and released
6 months is not a long delay.
2 over a couple of weeks that followed. And to say this show has been highly anticipated is putting it lightly. Hazbin is a project that's been in the works for about a decade at this point, from being conceptualized during the early days of Vivzy Pop's YouTube career to the pilot being uploaded to YouTube, and now making waves on streaming. And it's been said before, but you cannot take away how amazing of a success story this is for any indie creator out there. It's a new standard and reinvigorating for anyone who dreams of having their passion, love, and hard work recognized by the mainstream, and it's hard not to admire Hazbin for that fact alone, even if that one Digital Circus parody is funnier than anything to come from this franchise. When I inevitably die of a gas leak, I want "My name is Kane and I am your bitch" written as my epitaph. However, while the show has enjoyed its fair share of praise, it has also been the subject of many frustrating debates and controversies.
Because it wasn't the
Their
best.
critiques of the series
People were not happy because they waited 10 years
and
and it was
finally be
just
held up to the same
like
standards as other adult
7 or 8 out of
shows.
10
This is
show.
to say, Hazbin Hotel is very divisive, and combined with the number of
Highly,
controversies
yeah.
it's had, as well as some of Vivian's behavior in response to criticism thrown at the show, it's really not helping at all. Now, speaking as someone who's been a fan of Vivzy for nearly 6 years now, though I have stopped watching Hell of a Boss because of reasons specified earlier, I was still excited to see the series for the sole reason of its existence being a genuine marvel, and I wanted to see how Vivzy fleshed out all that was presented in the pilot into a full series. And after
She
finishing
didn't,
all
is
8
the
episodes,
answer.
while I can say
The
I
answer
don't
is she
dislike
didn't.
Hazbin at all, and have a fair few things to applaud it for, there's a lot to critique. Because while its existence may be impressive, Hazbin Hotel is no longer an indie project. Critiques of it that may have been viewed as invalid in the past because of it being a YouTube pilot are now far more important to address if the show ever continues or Vivzy makes more shows in the future.
He's making a
Because
good point.
truthfully,
Now that
Hazbin
they have a
Hotel
company,
is a mess,
you
a
can't treat
beautiful
them the
one that I
same
enjoyed
anymore.
overall, but even if you love the show, there's no denying how big a lot of its flaws are, to the point where I've seen a lot of my peers who have praised and made several videos on Helliver and Hazbin respectively also call out some of these issues. I'll try and keep this video as brief as I can. Sorry, that's funny. And I hope that even if you love this show, you can at least see where I'm coming from. But before we get into the show itself, it's important we look back on the show as pilots, because a lot of what I'm about to say will involve drawing comparisons and providing context for why some things about the series are a little disappointing.
Okay.
When the pilot first dropped, it shocked a lot of people with how well made it was. Like, even for independent animation on YouTube, there was rarely anything that matched the sheer quality of Hazbin's animation. Say whatever you want about the character designs or why Alistair looks like this, but you can't deny
Yeah,
that the
why
incredibly
does he look
fluid,
like that? I didn't even
detailed,
think
and
about
colourful
that.
visuals gave the series a lot of appeal, and it was one of the main things people praised about it. But it also hooked plenty of people because,
But
as a
they're
pilot, it had an
showing,
incredibly
like,
interesting premise and a fascinating vision
demons
of
in a
what
way
hell in this
that
universe
could
is
be
like.
unique. No
There's
one
a pretty
knows what
good
they
amount of
really
world
look
building in
like.
Hazbin Hotel without needing to expose
There's
a
just
ton of unnecessary
descriptions,
details
and
or going
I
into
think they
fight
did a
in
good
yapping
job
sessions.
basing
Like,
it
yeah, I
off
didn't
of
have a
what they
problem with them
may
just
look like in
spoon-feeding a bunch
grotesque
of info
forms.
about Alistair out of nowhere. Because one, it was a pilot, it had to include it somewhere, and two, I just finished playing Persona 3 Reload. I think you can gauge my tolerance for
It's
exposition from that
phenomenal.
alone. A lot about the world is effectively communicated without it being overbearing.
That game is
and
phenomenal.
The opening scene especially is a fantastic case of show don't tell. I know it's easy for people to dunk on Hazbin nowadays, but you gotta understand that there's a reason people flock to it by the millions. It was a very well made pilot with a lot of strengths. Plenty of weaknesses too, let's not get it twisted. I do not know how much restraint it takes to not make a written by Vivzy Pop joke again, but I'll stop being a dick now. Plenty of questions were raised, theories were made, rest in peace Matt Pat. Wait, did he actually? And generally, the concept of the Princess of Hell running a hotel that rehabilitates sinners sounds like a great concept for a cartoon. It didn't need to necessarily be story-focused or episodic. The concept alone was fun and interesting. It's not like they were making a show about hell going to war with heaven. It was confident enough in this cool premise and didn't need something that bombastic. This is a joke.
Until they did, because in the show they did.
For
Wow.
those who don't get the joke. It's important we acknowledge the strengths of the pilot before going into the actual series, because there was a lot riding on Hazbin in terms of people's expectations. Plot points were established, mysteries were set up, the premise was intriguing and promised a show about redeeming sinners. Now imagine you have no knowledge of Hazbin Hotel or Vivzy Pop at all, and you're watching this pilot for the first time again. Is it much of a stretch to say that most people would have expected a full series about rehabilitating sinners with story elements going on in the background?
Yes,
That later built
and
up to
that's
a
what I
story-focused
wanted,
conclusion?
and I didn't
Because
get
that's what
it.
I expected, and from what I gathered, that seemed to be what most, if not everyone, was expecting. And well, when you switch up on your premise that was known for years in the first episode, it can be a little bit confusing, especially if it isn't handled
Because you
gracefully.
couldn't write a show that it was
You see,
a
the joke is that
satire
to say on
comedy.
this in the next section with further
I was
elaboration,
expecting
but I
like
do
a
want to use
Friends
this as
Big
an
Bang
example of just
Theory
how
out of
different
this.
the pilots and series are. Though I guess a better comparison would be in the animation department. Hazbin's pilot wasn't super clean or perfect, but for an indie production, the animation was incredibly fluid. Now, obviously, there was going to be differences
true.
given the full series was given a fixed budget, whereas Hazbin was mostly funded through Vivzy's Patreon, and they were allowed to work on it for however long they wanted until it was finished. But even still, it's hard not to compare the two and be a little bit sad. It's not bad animation, but it is considerably choppier, with a lot more animation errors. Everyone knows about Vaggy
That's
just
true.
breathing gas during between shots for some reason, but there's a lot of janky
They had
camera movement,
to
Angel Dust arms presumably falling off between shots.
do 8
It's not
episodes.
the
I
best.
expected
Bento
it
Box have
to
done some
do
good
a
stuff
little
before,
worse,
if I'm
but I
being
didn't notice
entirely
those
honest,
things. I didn't
expecting
notice
the
those
same
little
studio that
problems,
produced
to be honest.
Border Town to comprehend Vivzy Pop's character designs might have been slightly insane. Even with the show's redesigns of these characters, they still look very difficult to animate. No wonder Angel's arms keep entering hammer space. I'm not even an animator, and looking at this design has me yearning for the coal mines as an alternate way to make a living. Anyway, I wanted to briefly touch on some differences before we get into the major stuff, because a lot of the things the pilot sets up aren't done a whole lot of justice, and I really want to get into this with proper context.
An
Go through the
extermination
episodes again.
to ensure hell and its sinners could never arise against them.
Congratulations to this one single line for temporarily changing the taste
Yeah,
of food for the next
we're-
4 weeks of
we're
my
changing
life.
the
Before
canon.
we begin, I want to address the fact that a lot of the issues I'm about to bring up are most likely caused by this show's criminally short episode count. You're telling me we waited 5 years for 8 episodes? I'm placing you f***ers under arrest. Hazbin is
Yeah,
a super
it is their
ambitious
fault.
series, and it's
They
evident from
I
the
think they
extremely
could have did better
fast
with
pacing
it
and many
10 or
problems with the story, but
12.
not all of this was the fault of the writers. I just want to acknowledge this, because even still, it is 100% possible for them to tell a story in a way that doesn't feel like I'm tuning into an XQC stream.
Except they
and that's
didn't.
by scaling back the ambition. I get that they wanted to do as much as they could with the time they had, because you can never be sure if your show is going to get canned out of nowhere these days, but they were 100% capable of making Hazbin's story far more digestible, and I want people to be aware of that. I sympathize with the struggles faced during production, but it's not unreasonable to consider what could have been. Anyway, time to get into the actual episodes. I want to try and list the things I like about the show's episodes first before I critique them, mainly because I want to remind everyone that yes, I do actually like things, and also making it clear that Hazbin Hotel does have
It does
qualities that I
sound
think
like you
more
like
people should at
things.
least acknowledge. For starters,
Oh.
building on the
Oh.
pilot's introduction to the main cast of
Rock
characters,
list
and showing their
1224.
dynamics in
I'll
more
be your
detail,
friend,
while also
man.
expanding on the
Yeah, I'm gonna
story
be your
in new and
friend.
interesting ways, giving us more details about the world, Charlie's family, and
How
the
you
history
doing?
between heaven and hell, respectively. It is pretty quick, to be generous. I'll just call that advanced foreshadowing, but it's still something to take note of. Also, the new voice cast.
Yo!
The decision to recast every single character was announced.
it's,
there was a lot of disappointment going around, but it's hard not
We're
to see
up
why.
to we're at 2 hours 42 minutes. Is that what the timer says? 41 or something. Good. Let's see. In this stream so far, I have killed 7 crickets. I had to sweep up glass. Everything fell off the shelf. Yeah, you know, I mean, could be a little bit better. I did get some nice people coming in here. We got some people joining the Discord, which was great. And we had some video. We had some music by MB. He or she, I don't know. They didn't say the gender. Made some music. We got to listen to it. It was great. So yeah, we're having a pretty good time here. Yeah, I would say. All the videos that we're listening to are reaction requests from my Discord. They are
When you
all
consider the
sent
pilot is currently
either from
sitting at
YouTube,
around
Discord, or
100
somewhere.
million views, how iconic and memorable
These are videos
voices
people
have
want me to
become
watch.
starts to set in. And even now, it's really hard to imagine these characters sounding any
And
different.
remember,
The
anyone
pilot
can
performances
post
were
videos
just
to me
that
to watch,
good. So choosing to
as long as
replace
they're
them with
TOS
big-name
safe.
Broadway stars
That
was
means no
definitely going to be a
copyright, no
problem for
booba.
many. Obviously, there was a fat chance in double hell that a few of the VAs were going to stay for the main show. Like, I don't think anyone is shocked at Sir Pentious being recasted given the current state of Stamper's career and all the stuff he's been up to.
Wait.
He seems great. There's a whole conversation.
What
about
what
all the
happened?
stuff
What did he
he's been up
say?
to.
Let me put it this way. Wow. Wow, what a great guy. He seems like a great guy. Oh man, I had no idea.
He seems great. There's a whole conversation about the treatment of
Yeah,
professional
you're right.
voice actors and whatnot, Chris Pratt and all that. But considering all of this, I was still pretty shocked at how well all the actors in this show do with these characters. Most of them are admittedly trying to
Nah,
mimic the
Vaggie
voices of
sucks.
the OG
Dog
VAs, which
doo-doo.
kind of makes you ask what the point of the swap was in the first place. But it's hard to deny that all of these guys and gals can voice act worth a damn, and I actually preferred some voices over the ones from the pilots. I specifically really like the lighter tone of voice that Alistair has. Just makes him come off as a bit more playful. There are some performances that are notably different. Keith David as Husker,
Yeah, but
Christina
Keith David
Alvaro
was
as Cherry
way
Bomb
better.
are definitely going in vastly different directions to the pilots, but they still sound really good. I'm not sure how I feel about Blake Roman as Angel Dust though. On one hand, he's definitely
hated
basing
Blake
his
Roman
performance
as
on Michael
Ace.
Kovacs from the pilot, but I notice he tends to really exaggerate the accent, and the higher pitched voice on top of that can feel a little off. Meanwhile, Stephanie Beatrice as Vaggie has the opposite problem, where most of the time she just sounds really bored. But overall, the vocal
She sounds
performances
awful.
are
Let's
solid
give you a
all
shout
around.
out,
I
dude.
don't have many complaints.
Here we go.
And man, can these people sing.
Do you have a clip? Oh, you do. Let's see how it goes here. And we're playing copyrighted music, so I gotta talk over your clip the whole time, because this is being up. Oh, I don't know what happened. Was that it? That was the clip? Was that it? Dude. What was that? I mean, brother. I'm gonna say, like, do you want me to play another one? But is there gonna be music in every clip if I play another one? I just want to hear the words. Well, if I hear the words, probably.
Alex Brightman, my beloved. As much as I find
Alex
Adam
Brightman
to be
did
an
a good job
obnoxious
for
character,
Adam.
Alex put his whole bright tussy into. Okay, I need to chill out.
Did you
I
say
have my
tussy?
reservations about this show's musical numbers, but I'd be lying if I said the actors didn't pour their hearts into these lyrics and at least managed to make them sound good. These
mean, did
vocals
they,
extended to
though?
episode 2 for the most part, although I'll just say right now that episode 2 is vastly superior to episode 1 for a multitude of reasons, and here's where I'm gonna have to start being a bit of a dick.
I
because
hated
for as much as I like what
Fox
they tried to do
because he was
here,
worthless.
Episode 1 is kind of shit. The biggest problem for me is the
It's true.
extremely weird
Episode 1 was
disconnect, yet weird
pretty
connection
bad.
that the show has to the original pilot.
I haven't
think a
watched
lot of
this in a
people,
while,
including
but I
myself,
do
expected
know
the
that-
first episode of Hazbin to be a
what?
reintroduction to the series.
3,
doing
4
everything that the pilot did, but with a
4
touch
was the
more
best, I
refinements, introducing
think.
the characters, the world, the
5
plot,
was
and central
great.
conflict of the
6
series,
was great. I
etc.
think
Basically just remaking
3
the
was
pilot as a
okay.
fully-fledged episode of a TV show.
And then-
That's what a lot of shows tend to do. Two
I
best
didn't like
examples I
7
can
and
think
then I
of
liked
are
8. I
Sherlock
believe
and
that's how
Gravity
I
Falls,
went.
which both remade their pilots as the first episodes of their respective shows. Although in Sherlock's case the pilot was better and the actual episode 1 felt like headbutting a belt sander for 60 minutes, with Hazbin it becomes incredibly apparent only a few minutes into the first episode that the show is still treating the events of the pilot as canon. Now there'd be nothing wrong with this if the pilot was listed with the rest of the episodes on Amazon Prime, but it isn't. And this creates a lot of issues given the show is now on TV and reaching a much wider audience than it did previously. And the weirdest thing is that it feels like the show is both aware
I mean,
and
is
completely
Prime
oblivious to
really-
this fact at the same time. The first
Is
episode
Prime
opens with a cute reboot animated
really
sequence
the
that's stylistically similar to the one from the pilot and effectively treats it like an opener to the show. However,
TV. Do exclamation point Discord to join.
The exterminations in hell,
That will
it's
post the
about
working
her father
one.
Lucifer and her mother Lilith, along with the creation of hell itself,
Discord
its own
works.
interpretation of Adam and Eve, and the true reason
I tried to
behind
put it
extermination,
underneath, it didn't
seeing
work.
that they're done as
I
a way
tried
to make
really
sure
hard.
hell can never rise against heaven. Side note, keep track of the reasoning behind the exterminations for a sec, because this being shown off at the very beginning of the show is arguably the biggest mistake the show makes in regards to
was
its
a humongous
storytelling, and it
mistake.
makes me want to throw a chair at a toddler. This opening
It's
is
show,
clearly
not
intended
tell.
to be a way to introduce new viewers to the world of Hazbin Hotel, and it works pretty well, until you remember about 2 minutes afterwards that they
That's
still
the
treat the pilot
correct
as if it's
link.
already happened. All of the characters who were originally introduced are currently bumming at the hotel. Vaggie outright says that Alistair came to visit and help out like he did in the pilot about a week prior, and the rest of the episode essentially pretends it's an episode 2 to the pilot, when it should instead be filling the same role. Obviously, if you know the events of the pilot, this shouldn't be a problem, but considering it technically isn't part of the actual show anymore, it causes a lot of confusing problems and severely undercuts the experience for the average viewer who is completely unaware of the pilot's existence or just hasn't watched it. This is to say, Hazbin Hotel does not do a very good job of introducing its world and characters. Episode 1 is juggling a lot. Too much for 20 minutes of television, that's for sure. It goes from giving us background on Hell's creation and the exterminations, to reintroducing the characters, setting up the B-plot involving the hotel's commercial, setting up the A-plot with Charlie's meeting with Adam, setting up numerous mysteries such as Alistair's disappearance and the death of one of the angels, along with the reduced time until the next extermination, and then it has to fit in 2 musical numbers on top of that. And frankly, this show's pacing is a bit of a train wreck.
You join my
this
Discord?
problem. Instead of it taking the time to rebuild the pilot and give us proper introductions to the world and characters, and then writing the
Eventually, I'm gonna throw
myself
myself into Discord while we're here.
Every single plot point, character arc, basically everything, and it results in one huge mess. One that's enjoyable, no doubt, but it severely hinders the cohesion of the story, and doesn't allow for any moment to have an actual impact beyond the surface level. What makes this more confusing is that this was also a problem for Hell of a Boss, the spin-off series, though not quite on the same level. However, Vivzy herself confirmed that
Is Hell of a Boss a spin-off series? I think it's its own series. I'm not necessarily sure if I would consider it a spin-off, though.
Still is? I think I'm gonna be sick. This is probably just a nitpick, but it does add an extra layer of confusion to this. But what's probably this episode's biggest and most frustrating sin is how it immediately proceeds to completely undermine the show's entire premise, and then sets up something entirely different. Remember that line in the opening? The one stating that the reason for the exterminations is so that heaven can keep their grip over hell and make sure no one ever rises against them? Yeah. The f*** you mean by that exactly? In the pilot, which
there was nothing with that in the pilot. He's making a great point here. That episode 1 was highly strange to the pilot.
In hell. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to consider the
now, Hell of a Boss's pilot got geek-canonized, but Hazbin's didn't, so this is just strange.
The show's premise of redeeming sinners to give them a chance to go to heaven make perfect sense. No one
What
has
is
any
this?
reason to think that heaven would be deceitful about the purpose of the
Is this a music
exterminations,
video?
so the
Is it
hotel's
copyrighted?
existence and optimism makes sense.
If I
And
play
you're
it,
going to build
is
up
it
to some kind of
copyrighted?
eventual conflict, you could later reveal towards the end of the season why the angels were really killing demons and will properly justify an actual conflict between heaven and hell, along with strengthening the resolve of the characters by
gonna
testing if
be
they
on
actually
the
changed or if they
interwebs.
slipped back into being awful people, knowing that everything turned out to be pointless.
MB was playing music too. It's gonna be on the interwebs if I play it.
By telling us the real
It's
reason
okay, you
heaven
can
does
play
all
it.
of this is for the purposes of control and nothing else.
Because it will be
And
uploaded to
Charlie
YouTube.
knows this. Everyone knows this. The whole point of the hotel was to address overpopulation. But that doesn't mean jack when everyone is 100% aware of the fact that the real problem is heaven itself,
So
and their need to maintain their power.
we will
So
go ahead
going
and
by
play
the
it
events of
after
the
this
pilot, since it's
episode,
still
so I don't
considered
quit in the middle
canon,
of the
Charlie
episode.
spent all this time setting up this hotel to find a peaceful path to
I
redemption.
am pretty
addresses the
interested.
issue of
I love
overpopulation
hearing
by hopefully
people's
getting the yes
songs.
into heaven,
It's
argued about this on
pretty good.
TV in front of the entire population, despite knowing the entire time that heaven does not care.
Also,
and is
thank
doing
you for
all
not
this out of
sending
need
me
for
a
power.
SoundCloud, but actually a music video.
Is
It
she
works out
f***ing
better.
stupid? Revealing that heaven and the angels are evil right out the gate is such a ginormous conceptual mistake and feels like a massive bait and switch, changing the whole premise from a hotel that redeems sinners to
war is hell.
I'm having a bloody conniption. Like, what? Why? I must.
It
say
does
again
seem
that I do like
strange
this
that
show
they went
overall, but I'm
that
not gonna
to
pretend that
war
this
is
didn't
hell,
bug me.
like,
it has been extremely
a one-on-one
frustrating to
thing.
think
That's
about
kind of
because it
crazy.
effectively turns the hotel, the main story engine of the series, into a side hustle. As while the series does show 2 characters slowly becoming better people, that's
Do
the
they?
extent of it, and the rest
I
of the
mean,
series
Angel
links
does
heavily into the conflict between heaven and hell. And it's
Kinda,
like,
but
this was supposed to be
Serpent
about
just kinda
redeeming
was
sinners.
just
That
like,
was what we were
he's good
promised
now.
for 5 years. That was the whole point! I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about the main aspect of the show being treated with the same depth as a Yakuza sub-story. Security system takes control! Look, I don't like episode 1 very much, and the rest of the show is leagues ahead of it in terms of quality. I apologize if this review of episode 1 ends up being the longest in comparison to the rest, but that's just because it's the catalyst for most of the show's issues. At the very least, the reveal of the dead angel is rather intriguing as a mystery, and a good cliffhanger to leave the episode on. As much as I don't agree with this new direction they're taking the story, I'll give them the credit for still making it intriguing. Now, episode 2 is actually pretty fun. I'll admit, I really like
disagree.
Episode 2,
I don't think so.
This is one of the few episodes
It's
that actually
in
focuses on
Lucy
the
and
redeeming
Beaver,
sinners
but
part
probably
of the
some
show, but
outpost
also because a lot of
something
it
in
is focused on
English.
Alistair, and I don't think it's a secret that he's the most popular character among fans right now, and he has been.
Lithian?
I'm going to be 20 this year. For the past few years. As much as I honestly abhor Alistair's design and the very unsavory usage of voodoo symbols and imagery when it comes to his powers, it's hard to deny
So what?
that he's
It's
a very
voodoo
fun
symbols.
character to watch
Who
when he's
cares?
just Bugs Bunnying all over
I don't
the
give a
place
crap.
and toying with everyone he interacts with. And the mystery surrounding his character are undoubtedly the most intriguing part of the show by a long shot. And I can say with conviction that he's one of the most fleshed out and compelling characters despite how little we actually know about him. It's also criminal that he never gets a single song to himself, not counting his part of the finale song in episode 8. Episode 2 reintroduces us to Sir Pentious and him being accepted into the hotel, kickstarting one of the few
I
character
do
arcs in
not
the show that
know
actually has a natural progression to it, while
about
also
this
properly
language.
introducing us to the V's, Vox, Velvet, and Valentino. 3 characters who longtime fans of Ipsy Pop
If
should probably
it's
be familiar with.
anything close to, if it was a Latin-based language, I could probably understand it, but it's not.
The episode does a great job of quickly introducing them and showing off their personalities and mannerisms. The episode mainly focuses on Vox, though, and his pretty entertaining rivalry with Alistair. We spend a good few minutes with him basically being on top of the world, chill, calculated,
You're the man? Okay.
tantrum, and in the moment Alistair is mentioned, the facade completely slips, and we witness about from this point onwards until the finale, and it leads into my overall disappointment with the V's.
Dude,
because the story
Gunther
just
makes
doesn't
some
have enough
great-
time for them outside of Valentino,
great
given his
sound
connection
clips.
to Angel's character arc. It would have been cool to see Vox and Alistair having a completely
there's,
one-sided
like, no
feud as a
one's
running
ever
joke,
gonna
and it
play
would have
'em.
added a lot more weight to their future interactions and would lead to me not screaming, "Where have you been this whole time?" the moment Vox shows up in episode 8 completely unannounced.
Yeah, 2
Still,
and then
if they really
8.
only
Vox
had
had
time to
no
use Vox
reason
about
to
a
be
total
in the
of
show.
once, I'm glad he was utilized like this. Pentious was a character that I was
Are
already
you
pretty fond
glad?
of based on how he was portrayed in the pilot, and the fact that he's also voiced by Alex Brightman genuinely blew my mind. This man's range is insane, and out of everyone in the main cast besides Alistair and Nifty, he's definitely a favorite of mine. We'll talk about this more when we get to the finale, but him slowly becoming a good person and relieving himself of being a joke villain is done very well, and he gets just enough screen time for it to work. Overall, I don't have nearly as much to say about episode 2 as I did for episode 1, because by all accounts, it doesn't really do much wrong. It provides us
Because it doesn't do much of anything. That's the problem with it. It didn't do anything for the show.
Let's move on.
It gave you a good song.
Depending on who you ask, episodes 3 and 4 are either the best or worst episodes of the
4
entire
was
show. And their reasoning
good.
for these faults is not
3
exactly
was
unfounded, specifically in
meh.
episode 4's case. Now, I too have a lot to say about it. For now, let's stick to episode 3, which mainly focuses on Vaggie and continuing the plot from where it was left in episode 1, with the body of an angel being found after the extermination. First of
Right.
all, Vaggie. My thoughts on this character can be summed
Sucks.
up in brief. This isn't
Yes!
a problem with the show acting like the pilot.
We
is
agree.
canon, because it keeps
Vaggie
acting like
had
we all
no
know all the
purpose for the
characters,
show.
and even then,
She
it's not like the
didn't
pilot did a
do
great job of
anything.
fleshing everyone out.
She
Like,
would
by the end, it
literally-
basically threw
The
Alistair,
main
Nifty,
character
and
has
Husky
room
into
to
the
develop.
because they were running
We
out of
say it all
time
the
and had to
time.
establish them as
Not
characters.
great.
And with
And
this problem,
Vaggie
coupled
has
with
no
the
purpose
really
without
small
the main
number of
character, and the main
episodes,
character
stems
ain't
the
good, so
issue the
Vaggie's
show
just
consistently
freaking
lacking
worthless.
massive and dramatic story reveals and character moments that mean absolutely nothing because we don't know these people yet. This is
I
only the
think she
third
was
episode.
awful.
The idea of showing
Just
cracks in
truly
Charlie and Vaggie's relationship and
worthless.
questioning Vaggie's purpose beyond protecting her is a neat idea, but I really wish that in an ideal world it would have been addressed far later in the season and with a lot more episodes to add context. To go on a brief but related tangent, people tend to act like filler episodes are the death of all story-focused shows. People would rather watch the story stuff completely uninterrupted because they feel like their time is being wasted otherwise. And for
Because
some
the time
shows,
is
like Star vs.
wasted.
The Forces of Evil,
Especially
and
here.
90% of most
But
anime,
I don't
that's
think they
entirely
needed to
reasonable
hear the
complaints.
story, because
However,
I
what
just
people don't
wanted
seem
to see the
realize is that
characters
term filler episode episodes become
do things in the
insanely diluted as a
hotel,
critique.
and I didn't get
Actual
to see
filler
it.
Episodes are often made without a distinct purpose beyond filling out space in the episode ordering when the writers don't know what to do otherwise. And it's usually very easy to tell when an episode is filler because after watching it, you're usually filled with a sense of, wow, I feel absolutely nothing after watching that. Thank you, Darren Nefsey. I am calling the police. I really need a better running joke, I swear.
It's true.
However, people these days tend to conflate filler with any episode that doesn't have the story as a main focus
That's
or
not
it doesn't
true.
introduce anything new to the show. And I think that that's a massive over-exaggeration and that these
Shows
episodes
need
are, more
filler.
often than not 100% worth watching. If you just skipped all the story episodes and watched every episode where the plot moves forward, your investment in the show is guaranteed to not be as strong. A lot of shows have episodes that follow the characters having fun adventures divorced from the main story, and the entire point of these episodes is to endear you to them as well as showing off more of the world. Their entire point is to be entertaining adventures that add to your investment, which is why I get really annoyed when people ask me what filler episodes they should skip whenever they say they want to watch Gravity Falls or Adventure Time, because while I can't deny that some of Adventure Time could be considered filler, I know they're only asking me this because they want to focus exclusively on the episodes that matter for the main story. And by
But
doing
Adventure
that, they're
Time
missing out on
was
so
just
many good
funny,
episodes and
right?
character moments. Hell, if you
Let's be
specifically
honest
stick to
here.
every episode of Gravity Falls that focuses on the main underlying plot, you'd be left with like half of the entire show, possibly less than that. So much of your emotional investment in TV shows comes from these entertaining distractions from the main plot. Seeing the characters have fun, having them go on their own smaller journeys that add further weight to their arcs, is a key part of any televised story. And while some shows are far more serious than others and manage to effectively showcase storytelling and character development in every single episode, such as Attack on Titan and Breaking Bad, there is nothing wrong with other shows doing this, and it certainly isn't filler.
Yeah,
So
I
getting
don't
back
think
to
it's
Hazbin
bad.
Hotel,
I think
you
it's
can see
good.
a massive problem because when you look at it, Hazbin Hotel feels like you're watching a TV show with a cheat sheet that exclusively focuses on the story content, except that's just how the show is made, and it doesn't feel very good. We hardly have any time to really get to know Charlie and Vaggie before this episode, and it all feels rushed and unearned. Now onto the story stuff. Episode 1 ended with the mystery of the angel's death hanging in the air. Until now, we, and the people of Hell, have been under the impression that angels cannot be harmed nor killed, and it seems like Heaven themselves thought so too, as this one transgression, likely in self-defense, is not only enough for them to move the extermination up by 6 months, but also to plan a full genocide of Hell instead of just making sure there would be no overpopulation. This is a pretty effective cliffhanger, and we have no clue who could have done it, something that episode 3 builds up to as the angel's death is now brought to the attention of Hell's overlords as Velvet, one of the V's, tries to convince them all to rise up and fight against Heaven now that they know that angels are killable.
I did what I had to do. I am not discussing this.
Oh, you killed them. Huh.
Yeah,
Well, phew, a mystery solved, right? It was
Yeah,
getting a little too intense in here.
pretty
I'm glad
easy
that's
to figure
in the
out
open
real
now.
quick.
Just one small question. What the hell are you talking about? Who the are you exactly? Another major consequence of the show having an extremely limited...
Camilla, like, if you saw Hell of a Boss, you know who she is. And if you saw the egg scene from the last episode with oh, these are Camilla Carbine, and her name just happens to be Camilla, you could put 2 and 2 together. But I do think it was still a bad way to do it.
Episodes has presented itself. We are at episode 3, and so much has been pumped into the viewers' minds by now, and it's nauseating. This is Carmilla Carmine, an overlord and the top weapon stealer in Hell, and she is responsible for killing the angel in order to protect her daughters.
Who's to say who'd survive?
Now shut the fuck up, we are introduced to this character in this episode. We see nothing of her beforehand, and within minutes of being introduced,
She was in the
gets a
pilot.
romantic and emotional song
Does
about
that
how she just
count?
wanted to protect her family. And I'm gonna be honest,
No.
when I watched this for the first time, I was bloody stun-locked. Sure, we know who you are, but we don't know you. Whatever
Or
effect
why
the
you're
scene
doing
in
what
this
you're
song
doing.
is trying to have utterly fails because we don't know this person. She's introduced, gives up the game, and starts singing. And while this is happening, Maggie is also
course she
singing about
starts singing.
her underdeveloped plight as well. And the two of them are having a duet for some reason. There hasn't been a connection established to these two characters yet, and there won't be for a few episodes now. So them having an emotional duet about both of their completely underdeveloped conflicts is incredibly jarring and unearned. Heck, as much as Velvet's song Respectless really annoyed me, which I can tell was sort of the point because of how on the nose the lyrics are, but still, it did a much better job at showing what Velvet's deal was while being super catchy. The only really interesting part of this episode is Alistair finding out that the angels can be harmed, and only because he's so mysterious as a character that we don't really know what he's going to do with that information yet. I did not care for episode 3 at all, and I really struggled to see what it was trying to do in some areas. Now we get to episode 4. I'm just gonna quickly put this disclaimer out
yeah,
because
whatever.
there's no way
But
I
this
can
one's
talk
good.
about this episode without getting into the subjects it covers, and if you're sensitive to any of this stuff, then feel free to click off the video. Okay, no more jokes until we're done with this, no more poking fun, I need to be honest here. As much as I enjoy this series and many aspects of it, I am not a fan of how Hazbin Hotel treats the subject of SA. Before we get into that, I want to go over some brief positives. As much as I really don't like the lyrics and the visuals of the song Loser Baby, I won't deny that it's an incredibly catchy song and is born out of good intentions. Keep David and Blake Roman knocked this song out of the park with their vocals, and I would not feel the same way I do about it if they hadn't tried their best. I also just like that this episode sets up Angel and Husker's relationship so well, and seeing them bond over the rest of the series is pretty touching. Okay, now, out of all of the controversies that spawn from this show, this is probably the largest one. A lot of people are angry and have gotten angry at how the show portrays Angel Dust and SA in general, for reasons that are within the show itself, and for stuff that happened behind the scenes.
I don't think it's that upsetting. I think it's perfectly fine. I think it was a good representation. People just don't understand how to take it. I think that's their fault, not anyone else's. I disagree.
Not actually been through SA themselves puts a truly horrid taste in my mouth. Knowing that someone who sees one of the absolute worst things a person can ever be put through as a fetish was working on this show, and specifically the episode that addresses the subject, is vile. There's no other word for it. And while I do truly believe that Vivzy was trying to treat the subject with the seriousness it deserves, her defense of this person hasn't been great, and her making an awkward joke while hyping people up for the full poison sequence to come out was really great.
You're telling me a person who sexually assaulted someone worked on the episode talking about how bad sexual assault is? Really? And I didn't know this until just now? Well, isn't that an oxymoron? Huh. I don't know how I feel about that. That is strange, isn't it? Probably why it was such an accurate representation.
Being a victim of SA myself, I have so many friends in my life who have had to endure some of the absolute worst torment a human being could ever be put through at the hands of their assaulters. I recognize that this was—
Wait, he was and his friends? This guy? I mean, I'm sorry, but I thought the episode was fine. But it is strange. This is a highly strange topic. I did not know that. That makes it a little bit worse.
It's all a slip up on Viv's part, but this is a serious subject and should be treated as such. As for the actual depiction of the subject,
but I think Poison was a good depiction.
People are going to have their own interpretations of it, and there's clearly a split between people who have been victims of SA liking the episode and victims of SA who hate it. And I don't want to invalidate anything anyone has to say in regards to the episode's treatment of the subject, especially when I'm not a victim myself. But I still
he's not. Never mind.
The execution as someone who's had to talk to and be there for a lot of victims myself. I'm very happy that the show truly shows how much of a monster Valentino is without sugarcoating anything. He's a complete and utter bastard, and regardless of whoever worked on the episode behind the scenes, his relationship towards Angel Dust is nothing short of abusive and not shown in a positive light, and the abuse itself is shocking to look at. In a series full of blood and over-the-top violence, seeing a realistic display of abuse is shocking and incredibly effective. The episode properly grounds itself with a much more serious tone this way, and I think this was the right call. What most people have a problem with is the poison sequence, and while I agree that this is in character for Angel, it's still a lot. And while I don't think
not sleep. Duh, thank you. I'll be your friend. Hello. You watched Hazbin Hotel? Yeah, so I did a YouTube series, you know, because like I'm a deacon, right? So I did the theology behind Hazbin Hotel, and I watched every single episode. Each episode got about 1,000 to like over 1,000 views. So I had a lot of audience members, and since I'm doing 24 hours, I said, hey, you know, I do this every time. Send me links to videos you want to watch, and I got some Hazbin Hotel. I kind of figured I would get some. But yeah, I did the theology behind Hazbin through each episode. It was pretty interesting. A lot of people liked it, and yeah, you love Hazbin. I think VizzyPop did really good research when uploading it. I did not watch the season 2 sneak peek. I did not. But I am gonna say that I thought it was fine. But it had great references to a lot of biblical things. But I'm gonna be honest. If you have a link, you got to put it in my Discord, because it's gonna ban it here. It's gonna block it if you put it in the Twitch. You have to do it in the video reaction to Discord. But I did do a reaction to the pilot and the show. Yeah. But I think it was really good. Really good show, but I wouldn't give it any more than like a 7 out of 10 because I think certain aspects of it, like I thought the great research. I just thought the show in itself wasn't great telling it. And I think Hell of a Boss was way better. Like, to be honest, one is not independent and can be criticized more, which this video brought up. Where I'm saying Hell of a Boss gets away with some problems because of how it's made, for sure. But for all seriousness, when I went through like this episode, I talked about like all the things. Like I talked about the support group that I have for people and all that. So like I took this show very seriously when I watched it because of this.
As much as this song is catchy and as much as the
and I think there was a good moral lesson here for people.
I really hate this song. I get the point.
You hate this song? This is the best song in the show. Loser Baby is the best song in the show by far. It was my favorite. I thought it was a good way of putting things in. Cheese main. If you can, wait, you can probably still hear me. I gotta change it to one of the roles. Are you a male, female, or neither? And then I'm gonna put you in a role. You're a loser baby. Yeah, I think Loser Baby is by far the best. Male? Okay. I think this was my favorite song by far. Yeah, but if you have the video, just put it in YouTube video requests, and I'll play it. We got 2 videos after though for this. Someone already we have one more. We're gonna play a song that's 2 minutes that Rock put in, and then we'll play yours before because these other ones are long. But we're gonna finish this first.
Physically and emotionally abused. Having the song just call him and Husker losers, despite how drastically different their situations are, really doesn't sit right with me. Yes, Husker is a damaged character too, and is also on a demon's leash like Angel is. But acting as if him losing his freedom and power to a gambling addiction is at all comparable to the absolute hell that Angel has been through.
He is absolutely wrong. Watch Gravity Falls on stream later for real. I'm not going to watch Gravity Falls on stream. If you want to see someone react to Gravity Falls or talk about it, there's a VTuber that's in my Discord and super great. Her name's Haru the Mouse. Met her through a video. Super great. She did some cool stuff about Gravity Falls. She would love to talk about it at some point. So yeah, she can do that. But no, I do think it's comparable. Gambling addiction is so unbelievably evil. And I would say it is almost as evil as sexual abuse. Yeah, I think they're almost. Because I've had people come to me, you know, Deacon support group thing. You know, I run a support group for people with depression and all that. And both are traumatizing for them. Truly. Like, I mean, I've seen people lose everything to gambling that just leads to suicide. And both eventually lead to suicide. So, I mean, I think they can almost be comparable.
I hate it. I really hate it. I get that Angel wouldn't have accepted a super mushy song to lift his spirits, but this really didn't hit with me. Hazbin's treatment of this subject is only going to get worse from here on out. I really don't want to get into the scene in episode 6 where Pen just gets dragged into this room and it's treated as a joke, but I just want to get it out of the way here that I'm really not a fan of how all of this has been treated in the show and behind the scenes. I'm aware that there are a lot of victims who see themselves in Angel and find this episode powerful, and that's totally valid. I'm just saying that personally, I think they could have handled this a lot better. That's all I really have to say about episode 4, honestly. It's definitely
I don't like how this guy didn't. I don't think this guy treated episode 4 good. I didn't like that. Also, the new sneaky features a new character with that nice Brandon voiced. Also, like he VA 3 characters at this point. Yeah, he did.
Not uncomfortable watching
what
it.
suspensions and
trying to keep your emotions in check. All right, let's lighten this video's tone back up.
Oh, Spider Guy. Why can't I remember? We just talked to him.
Are pretty enjoyable. I wouldn't say they're great. They're all right.
Why can't I remember? Holy crap! I'm having a brain fart.
Reminding people that while I am a little harsh on the show, I do enjoy it. I see the potential behind each episode, and the moments where the stars align and the show's strengths are allowed to flourish are euphoric as someone who's been waiting 5 years.
Okay, this one's really good too.
Call out issues when I see them. Speaking of which,
I loved this episode. A lot of people said Lucifer shouldn't have been in it, but I think it was good. I think it was a good idea.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth instance of daddy issues across the Helliverse at this point. It's starting to get a little bit stale and incredibly
I don't think you
funny
needed
whenever it
daddy
happens,
issues,
especially
honestly.
with how Lucifer is just the exact same kind of character that Stolas and Blitz are, just with the dorkiness cranked all the way up to 11. He's fun to watch and you can't help but root for him, but I definitely rolled my eyes a bit when I realized that Lucifer was just another quirky, distant father trying his best. That being said, his duet with Alistair was fun. I honestly don't have many complaints with the music itself, it's an easy listen. The episode gets points just for casting Sarah Stiles as Mimsy. Once again, Alistair in general is just a highlight of the episode, but while his pettiness towards Lucifer is pretty funny, I was still pretty confused. Alistair's reason for why he starts playing up the paternal role towards Charlie just to get under Lucifer's skin is a little unclear.
Yeah, but it's also just something Alistair would do. Let's be honest. Alistair is a bit of a douchebag, right? So I wouldn't put it past him that he just did it to be a douchebag.
Reputation and doesn't take it well when people don't seem to respect it or have any interest in him. With that context in mind, him playing up the father figure role in his duet just to make Lucifer mad is extremely funny. But it's very easy to be confused what its actual angle is when his first reaction when Lucifer walks into the hotel is to twitch his eyes in rage. Still though, Alistair is once again the best part of the show, and I'm gonna be honest, his scene with Husker might be the best scene in the whole show. It's not even a minute long, but this one scene is probably the most stable and well executed so far, playing up the mystery of Alistair's 7-year absence once again, while having Husker casually drop the fact that Alistair is also on someone's leash in a way that feels completely natural. And Alistair immediately going full horror on Husker in response to this was perfectly done. Weird how when you put two of the best characters in a room together and have them chat for 30 seconds, you get one of the best scenes in the show. Still, the show is greatly suffering from its episode count again and its rushed pace.
People say Lucifer shouldn't have been in the show at all. I disagree completely. Wholeheartedly, I think he was a great point of the show.
Lucifer is introduced in this very episode, and they speedrun his and Charlie's issues in record time. I just can't find the
Adam and Serpentions or Baxty or whatever the new character is.
Bombshells to suddenly drop on the audience with no. I hide the fact that you're an angel.
Smile, it doesn't mean you know what's going on underneath. I mean, it's true. I smile all the time because smiling gets people on your side and on your favor. Like, if I go anywhere, I smile. It's what people want to see. The Pokemon bot making my messages in chat unreadable. The Alistair quote through left mo. Yeah, the it is funny. The Pokemon bot was a request by multiple people. That's why we're leaving it. But I do recommend changing your name color from red to something else because of it. It does make it easier to read that way. But yeah. But it's the community game, and then there's an info bot that was added to test out from their Discord.
Right, that's it. I'm calling an exorcist.
Yeah, way
Episode
better.
6 is
for sure.
Rubik's Cube of shitfuck. It's held together with scotch tape and dreams. Disheveled ones. Fun as it may be, this is arguably as egregious as Carmilla's ordeal in episode 3. Except it's done thrice in the same episode. The reveal
speaking
that
of which,
angel,
speaking of which, let's do a shout out here. Do you have a clip? You have no clips? Oh. Usually that would play a clip. I usually sit and wait. I do that, and then people hear themselves, but you don't. Yeah, it would have popped up on screen and everything. I had it on my own account. It did.
The rest of heaven doesn't know about the
That's all right.
And the sudden
That's
character pole vaulting that is Angel Dust's development. First off, heaven.
St. Peter. We can take it from here.
St. Peter? Why is he a fucking Aryan? Heaven.
Okay, now hold on. These are great representations of seraphims, okay? Not too much here, but the eyes, absolutely. Seraphims have eyes. She's going for the archangel look with multiple sets of wings. Seraphims are supposed to have wings top and bottom. The necklace, I mean, the crown here, absolutely how it's supposed to be. Like, I mean, this is a good representation. to be honest.
We can take it from here.
Saint
But St. Peter being white and blonde, I mean, no. It isn't. He's not. He's making a good point. Also, if St. Peter's here, that means the Bible happened in this universe, and there's no Jesus or God up in heaven here, and it's very confusing. And how I don't like, I mean, what's going on? As a Muslim, we believe in 85% of things Christians do, and I still watch Hazbin Hotel. Yeah, right. So, like, technically, I'm a deacon for the Catholic faith, but I'm non-denominational. I believe if you believe in God, there's no wrong way to believe in God. I don't think there's a problem with it. I think that's true. I think there is no problem as long as you believe in God. I don't think there's a wrong way. It doesn't. I don't. But I'm saying this representation is just. I had problems just with some parts of heaven, but I think heaven was done well.
Peter, why is he a fucking Aryan? Heaven not knowing about the exterminations and it only being known by the top angels and the actual extermination force in Adam is a fine enough explanation.
And I do like the cherubs that they did, the little babies, angels come in and save people. They're supposed to save children, but I do think that's it. Not me waiting a whole year just to see Sarah and Emily reaction to Sir Princess and Lilith. I do think Liz probably made a deal with Alistair.
And there are in fact good angels who truly believe in heaven's values, whatever those are. But this is still a sudden reveal.
But this is
if
strange.
You want to talk about sudden reveals, Vaggie, what the it's been theorized.
If you watch my reactions, my theologist reactions to this, I called Vaggie being an angel or an exorcist from day one, from the freaking pilot. And I came into episode 5 and I'm like, finally. Finally. They got over it. Like, I spoiled the whole show. People in the comments were pissed. I'm like, it's like, just look at her. It's you could figure it out in 2 seconds. It's confirmed to be in fall 2022. I didn't watch the pilot. It seemed mid, not gonna lie. It was like, it's canon. And like, you don't need to, but it introduced Cherry Bomb, Serpentius, and Alistair better. Especially Alistair. Alistair was done so great in the pilot. But other than that, you didn't really need to watch it, no. Before Love, Rocket Science, you have, yeah, exactly.
For a while that Vaggie has been an angel all along. I mean, it's not really a massive mystery if you just pay.
Although I hate Vaggie, worst character in the show. That's what look. Most people yell at me in the comments because of how much I despise Vaggie. I think she is by far the biggest piece of dog crap in the show. Just horrendously awful. Worthless character.
And wield an angelic spear. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, there you go. It's not rocket science.
No build up to this reveal. This is the first time Adam has shown up since episode 1. If we had more scenes with him, this would also aid the reveal. The show, once again, lacks sufficient context to get us acquainted.
Yeah, Alistair and Luke are way better.
Velvet's great. Bombshell reveals
You're right.
Left and right.
I agree with you.
Completely out of left field. Even if you were taking in the hints towards Vaggie being an angel beforehand, it's just so rushed.
I didn't really like Adam.
That sinners can in fact be redeemed and strive to become better people. Charlie chooses Angel as an example.
Angel, that
was 4 was the beginning of his arc, and within only 2 episodes, enough time has passed to the point where he has completely given up taking drugs, has retired many of his bad habits, and is just an all-around decent guy. How much time has passed exactly?
A man only lives once. We'll see you in
So it's been 5 months.
1 month until the extermination? You're telling me that 5 months have passed since the first episode? What? And since the ending of episode 5 directly leads into 6, that means that by
And I also
episode
like how
5,
Lucifer has
5
6
months
wins
have
here.
passed. This is a masterpiece of catastrophe.
One thing that pissed me
The
off as
passage
well
of time
is
in the show
that
is an anomaly. Hazbin needed more episodes, man. This is insane.
Charlie did not
There's
have
no problem with
any,
showing a large passage of time in only
wings.
a few episodes, but everything here feels so artificial.
I thought that
characters
was pretty
progress
trash.
Completely off screen. Christ, You Didn't Know is also a mess of a song, despite all the voice actors killing it once again. The song
I didn't see Sarah really as a villain. She was just confused and tried to do the right thing and didn't understand what was right and wrong.
I guess I should have been more clear. While I enjoy both episodes, it's episode 5
That means
I
7
think
years
is
went
decent.
by
6 is
since season
alright,
1
but
by
has
now.
a ton of problems. We are at
Alright,
the
7
finale
and
now,
8.
and honestly,
I did
these
not
2
like
episodes
7.
might just be the strongest of the bunch.
6 was
Not
good.
without their flaws and whatnot, but if you were to ask me if Hazbin Hotel stuck the landing, I'd probably say it did. Not against the lofty
8 was
expectations
better.
I had for it, but in terms of it
I did
ending
not
in
like
a way that
7.
isn't a total catastrophe and actually setting up the next season well, I think it does a pretty okay job. First of all, the songs are at their peak here. Ready for This is just
Nope.
straight up fantastic.
I
And
disagree.
the finale song is great minus the V's part. I really appreciated how the situation between Charlie and Vaggie was handled, with her slowly getting over the shock of the angel reveal and realizing that all Vaggie has ever done is be there for her in the hotel. It was sweet. I liked it, especially given there isn't really anything to Charlie and Vaggie's relationship until the finale.
You're right,
When
there
people
isn't
call this
anything.
Unseasoned Yuri, they're not kidding. This is one of the most sourceless relationships I've ever seen in a
The only
TV
good
show.
thing in
It's
episode
not very
7 was
compelling,
ready
and
for
they don't
this.
really spend enough time actually being a believable couple to get me to care about the angel reveal on any level. But they still handled it well. Alistair is still at his absolute best here, and you can tell just
Yep.
how much the writers like him too. But while his shenanigans are always going to be fun, it does
true.
feel like they're a little indecisive of where to take him as a character. Like, obviously Alistair is not a good guy, and he has his own schemes going on, where he's been for 7 years as a mystery, and it lining up with Lilith's disappearance is surely not a coincidence. The dude isn't good, but they still take the time to show him being a genuine asset to Charlie and the hotel, giving sound advice and helping out where he can, etc. Heck, episode 5 basically spent its whole runtime trying to show that Charlie was fond of Alistair and that he had a more active protective role in her life than Lucifer ever did, even choosing the hotel over Mimsy despite her being a longtime friend of his back when he was still alive. These are good moments in isolation and could be the setup for an arc where Alistair starts pretending to be chummy with everyone but still has his own agenda, only to accidentally begin genuinely caring for everyone and either slip back into villainy or going in a different direction. Instead, as evidenced by this line here,
You, Alistair, all you do is stand there smiling while you watch us struggle and fail.
it's not very clear what they're trying to do with him. He's still the most active and compelling mystery in the show, but having Charlie say this only a few episodes after she was treating him with the utmost respect in comparison to her own father gives me the
Does.
impression that they're not being very
Great
consistent with
Alistair.
him. And honestly, I don't mind if he becomes a good guy or goes down the path of straight up villainy, but they need to stop giving mixed signals, honestly. And this is an issue with most of Hazbin, honestly. A lot of the moments are fantastic in isolation, just really, really good, but without any actual context leading up to them, they just ring hollow. Other than that, Alistair is still the best part of the entire show and is the only character to actually make me laugh when he swears.
I
because
get
he
they were
usually
really
never
good
does.
lyrics
There's
to
a whole
the
debate
song.
on how funny Hazbin Hotel actually is, and I'll be honest, no, the series is not particularly funny. Alistair and Nifty are the funniest
Hey.
characters by a long shot because
I thought the sex jokes were funny because I'm 5 years old. Don't get it twisted.
Alistair's with people is just naturally amusing, and every joke with Nifty
It
is
is
an
naturally
actual
amusing,
joke. The
let's
show
be
is
honest.
very aware of the critiques people throw at it for being comprised of swearing and jokes, and that's all fine and dandy, but I still think
Okay,
it's
great.
perfectly fine criticism to have, because even though they definitely play into the bit, it does get very excessive and at times just straight up annoying. Back onto things I like, Rosie. Rosie's cool. I like Rosie. She serves her purpose in the episode very well. The animation for the fight scenes is cool, not many complaints there. I do find it a little questionable why Vaggie is surprised that angels can be harmed by angelic weapons, considering the reason she's missing an
Those
eye in
are-
her
those
wings
are good
because they were
lyrics.
taken off by angelic weapons, but that's just a nitpick.
I would
And
normally
to make
read
me like
them,
Carmilla, I still
but,
wish she had any actual screen
I don't
time in the
curse,
story besides
so,
episode
like,
3.
I'm
Her
not- I
training
don't read
Vaggie
curse
and her
words.
presence in the scene in general did more than enough to get me to like her. The finale in general was rather solid, honestly, or at least as solid as it could have been, considering the rest of the series was a pretty rocky foundation foundation to build a conclusion on. I think the main two things I hate in the finale though is the death of Sir Pentious and how the story treated the V's. Now Pentious 100% goes out like a Chad, but having his death basically be a joke didn't really sit right, especially when they immediately try playing it up as an emotional
Hazbin is
death
85%
right
curse
after.
word.
It
You're
just doesn't
absolutely
work.
right.
Although Pentious
And if you
actually
want to hear
looking into
something
heaven is a great
annoying,
way to
you'll
end
hear
the
me
series,
complain
showing
about
that
it the
Charlie
entire
was right
time
in
I
some
go through the
sense, and you
show.
can see it on Emily and Sarah's faces. Emily
I don't
looks
like
on with
cursing.
joy and
I
excitement,
really
while
don't.
Sarah
I
immediately
think there's no
realizes that
reason
the
for people to
explanations
curse.
were
It's a
all
waste of
needlessly
time.
cruel and that she was wrong. Would really like to see
Plus,
how
like
this plays out next
the
season.
when I
V's are just
for the
a
support
massive missed
group,
opportunity besides
it like
Valentino.
brings
Vox and
trauma to
Velvet
those
both
people,
disappear from the plot after
and
episode
I
2
just
and
did
3.
away with
I
it.
can't say they added much to
It
the
like
episode
brings
besides
like
Fox's incredibly
PTSD
try-hard
back, so I just
commentary that
learned
wants you to laugh at
to
the fact that
avoid
he
it
keeps amping his
completely
excitement
for
and
their
vulgarity
benefit.
up every time we snap back to him, but it's just an annoying distraction from the vastly superior plot going on while this is happening. Also, their part of the
I don't
finale
curse.
song
You
is
know,
just
people just
really
do.
stupid.
Fine.
They act
You-
like
you're
the
absolutely
extermination actually
right.
happened for some reason, as
If
it
you get
wasn't stopped
genuinely
dead in its
upset, like
tracks.
let's say you
Adam
died in a
literally said he'd
video
go to the
game,
hotel
you
first
know,
and nothing else. And we
I
see
could
later
see
on
you
the rest of
you
hell
you
is
cursing a
completely
little bit, you know,
unscathed.
you
None
got
of
a
the overlords
headshot
we know are
and
in
you
any
let
danger,
an
yet for some
F-bomb or
reason
something,
there's now
you know,
this
that's
sudden
fine.
power gap that
But I'm
these are
saying,
aiming
like, just for
and
no
a bunch of
reason.
overlords perished or something. I
Come
don't
on.
know if this
I don't
song was
need to
written
hear that.
before the episode
Hey!
was communication or whatever the
Melia,
it's
how's it
extremely
going?
confusing and just makes me confused of what the point of the
How
visuals
is
of this
our
episode.
going?
They show up, do nothing, then celebrate a
Melia,
power
did
gap
you
that
join my
didn't even
Discord?
be
I thought I
created
sent
and
it to
in
you.
no way could have been created. Season
Did
2
I?
better utilized them more because
I
I
might be
was
going
not impressed
crazy.
by
I
these
think I
guys by
did.
the finale. I don't have much else to say here, to be honest, because the finale, I'm counting episode 7 and 8.
You
as
sent
the
me
finale,
a
was fairly
thing
solid.
over
There were
Discord,
plenty
didn't
of
you?
things I liked, and while there was a lot
Didn't
of
we
stuff I
talk
thought was
before?
half-baked, it didn't subtract
Hold
from
on,
my
hold on, hold on.
enjoyment.
Am I going crazy? Don't do this to me. Hold on, I gotta find it. I'm going crazy.
Overall, Hazbin
You
Hotel,
wrote to
for
me
as much
before,
of a
right?
triumph as it is for indie creators
I
and
saw
all the
it.
praise
We
it
had a
had for it to
conversation,
existing in the
I
first
believe.
place, is a deeply conflicting show. One that many openly love
It's
and
in my-
continue to support. And
Don't
personally,
do
I hope
this.
that she keeps on making stuff and improving
No,
her writing
where
for
did-
television.
where
If
did it
Hazbin
go?
miraculously gets picked up for another season, or she decides to work on something new. Wait,
You
never
updated
mind.
your
But it's hard
profile,
to
I
turn a blind eye to
remember.
the amount of missed potential there is here. And I get that it wasn't entirely Viv's fault. I'm sure if she had as many episodes
There it
as
is.
she wanted, she'd be able to write a story
Hi.
truly worthy of the incredible premise and scope she had in mind.
Yeah.
Hazbin Hotel is nothing if not ambitious, but at the end of the day, ambition can only get you so far when the end result is still half-baked. There's a lot of love put into this show, and I can see that.
How you doing?
Anyone with an
Great.
eye
How
for a
about
show
you?
with an
Yeah,
actual
already in
beating
your
heart that
Discord.
isn't
We've
made
talked
appropriately
before. Well, no,
still,
I
I
know
can
we
see
talked
that.
before. I
And as
just
someone who waited
I
years
wanted
for
to
the
know
show
your
come out,
profile
while I
picture
like
to
the
remember what
result
you look like.
overall, and I'll tune in for the next season, it's hard not to be disappointed by how rushed the story and character development is, how it handles incredibly sensitive subjects that mean a lot to me and many of the people I care for, and knowing that I'm walking on eggshells by critiquing the show in the first
But yeah,
place
how you
honestly
doing?
speaks volumes. A lot of
Doing
people
great?
I greatly respect in this community get thrown their way for daring to be negative about the show, even if they have a long track record of consistently praising most of Viv's work. And a lot of my friends and peers are genuinely afraid of speaking about the show in any capacity because of the kind of conversations it attracts, a feeling I shared after the Hell of a Boss fiasco last year. It's honestly insane how
That's
fast people
good.
will switch up on you if you have any sort of stance on the show. Positive or negative, neutral, haven't
25
seen
is
it. It's
best
the most
year
toxic
or
discourse
this
surrounding a
country?
cartoon I've
Wait.
seen in years. People will disagree with you on anything you have
Or
a stance on.
this
It's a fact
century,
of life.
to
But
be
Hazbin
honest.
Hotel is a topic
How's
we
your
just
stream going?
cannot
Having
win.
fun?
With that aside, though, I'm happy that Hazbin Hotel
I
exists
mean,
and
I
has
killed
every
7
right to do so
crickets
with the amount of
and a
money
bunch of
they
glass
get.
went
But
everywhere. I
criticism
had to
is still
vacuum it up and pick it
important.
up.
And I just wish the show
Big
got a
hassle.
chance to really spread its wings and flesh out its story and characters without it feeling like there was a bomb to go off in the writer's room. So,
Although
yeah,
we are
I liked it, and I probably recommend it.
half
if
of
you
a
can
four.
tolerate a
We're
lot of it,
1/8
but I can't
through the
say my
stream.
expectations were met or exceeded, and I hope now some of you can understand why. That's the end of the video. I spent a long time trying to get this to work.
Okay, that was good. He did a great job.